Hi lovely people, thank you for joining me. Anushka here, and today I'm making a video about chaga mushroom. And I've been meaning to make this for a while. I'm really into my alternative health, so I like to share things that I come across and experiment with you guys. And so chaga mushroom, what is it? It is a type of mushroom, fungi, and it grows predominantly on hardwood trees, mainly the birch tree in northern climates, so quite harsh environments. And it's not something that necessarily benefits the tree. It's a parasite essentially. And it makes, what it does is where there is some sort of wound on the tree, so say a branch has fallen off or the bark is split because of harsh sun or whatever, what happens is the spore of the chaga makes its way into the tree itself, and it takes a while to develop. It takes some time for chaga mushroom to fully develop and be harvestable. I think it's typically after about 5 years that it's big enough and mature enough for it to be harvested. And from what I understand, it can last, I think a tree can survive with it for about 20 years. So it slowly kills the tree off. And, you know, I've done quite a bit of research. It has become quite a big thing. It is one of those things that's a bit of a fad, I suppose, in alternative health. So you can never quite be sure what's fact and what's fiction, but from what I see, there's a lot to say that, you know, it's been around for a long time, especially in, I think, ancient Japanese or Chinese culture, where they brewed it as a tea, which I will show you how to do in this video. That's how I make mine. And there's a lot of evidence to support that, the fact that it supports us as human beings. It's great for the immune system and the nervous system, for heart problems, purification of the liver, the kidneys, that kind of thing. And you know, there's been some research to say that it actually helps to heal neurological damage and is a good preventative for things like cancer. So what I'll do is, as I show you how I brew it and how I make it, whilst I talk you through what I'm doing, I'll also throw in a bit of research that I've come across. And, you know, you can obviously do your own research as well. But, you know, I've definitely noticed a difference from taking it. Let me show you what it looks like first of all. This is a piece of chaga mushroom there. So it's quite hard, and you can see it's got that kind of dark outer. This would have been on the outside, and this is obviously where it's been cut. And it's quite a tough, you know, woody feeling thing, and the taste of it once brewed is, I would describe it as earthy and a little bit nutty. It's when it's brewed and you brew it properly, it's almost like coffee, obviously without the caffeine or anything, and a lot of benefits. What I found really interesting about chaga, I'll go on to tell you about how my experience with it in a minute, but what I found really interesting about it was that when I was doing my research, these are some of the things that prompted me into trying it. So first of all, it's the fact that apparently it's one of the most powerful antioxidants out there, if not the most. I'll give you the figures later. Then there's the fact that it's an adaptogen, which I really like, because basically what that means is that when you consume it, it rebalances your body in the area that your body specifically needs. So it adapts to your body to kind of bring it into a state of equilibrium, which I think is fantastic. Another thing that intrigued me about it was the fact that its DNA structure is closer to that of humans. I think it's 30% more like human DNA than it is like plant. It's not considered plant nor animal, but it's 30% closer to human, which is really interesting. And I think if we're taking something that has that kind of a structure to it, then that will blend well with our bodies. Now, it's got so many properties and so many positive things about it. In part, that's because of the fact that, not only because of the trees that it's obviously taking energy from, but also if you think about the environments in which it grows, it gets exposed to extremely harsh winters and some really strong summers. So it produces and develops things like melanin, So, you know, it ends up having to become very hardy and very tough. So as a result, it's full of a lot of nutrients. So it's a hard-working fungi. Um, so my experience with it. I first tried chaga in 2014. Where are we now? Yeah. No, 2015. First tried chaga in 2015, and I'm pretty sure that I saw some pretty good quality chaga mushroom. I will say not all chaga is created equally. There are people who are obviously cashing in on the fact that it's become very popular now. So do your research and find out the best places to get it from. Siberian chaga is thought to be the best, but you can get people harvesting it from roadsides, you know, in like northern Scotland, you know, if they want to. So that's not necessarily going to be your best chaga. But anyway, I first tried it in 2015, and what it did for me on a personal level was I found that I was sleeping a lot more peacefully and a lot easier. And this is after only a couple of days of taking it. Within the first few days already I felt lighter, my head felt clearer, I felt more engaged, I felt just more present, more calm in a way, you know. I just felt balanced, would be a good way to put it. I felt quite balanced. As far as my appetite was concerned, I mean, this was spring going into summer, so I wasn't eating that heavily anyway, but I was finding that, you know, it didn't give me any digestive problems at all. It really, I've got to be honest, it gave me a big energy boost more than anything. At the time I was doing a lot of skating and running as well. And I would get up at like 6 in the morning, 5:30, 6 in the morning, I'd go for a skate, you know, I'd have my chaga, I'd go for a skate, and I felt like I had so much more energy. And that's another thing that apparently it's really beneficial with, is in, you know, boosting our energy levels and just helping you get the most out of yourself. So for me, I definitely noticed and do notice a difference in when I take it. You know, I haven't had it every single day since the first time I tried it. You know what happens, life happens and you forget about stuff. But I've gotten back into it recently, and I do notice how it seems to calm me. And if you're someone like me who has whose nervous system gets out of whack sometimes, because I've suffered from anxiety and things like that, something like this could really benefit you. So in my experience, I really recommend it, and I think that I can't speak to its cancer fighting properties. I can't say it's cured me of this, that or the other. I've read stories about people who have said, wow, you know, when I was undergoing chemotherapy, this really helped heal my body so much quicker. I've heard and read a lot of stuff which seems really positive. What I can say from my own personal experience as somebody who is fairly healthy and fairly active, it boosted my energy levels. It calmed me on a kind of from a mental point of view. I just felt better. I feel better when I take it. I've got to be honest, I feel more alive. So for that reason alone, I would recommend it. And so I'm just trying to think if there's anything I've forgotten. I've got some notes here, but I think I've written down everything that I can think of. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I go about preparing it. And as I do that, like I said, I'll throw in some things that I've researched that I found, and just to give you a little bit more information. But it's not hard to prepare, and as long as you've got a little bit of time on your hands, you know, it's well worth doing, I would say. And do it in big batches if you can. What you need is a big pot, which can hold a lot of water, and obviously your chaga. And I don't know what everyone else uses to crush this, because this is hard stuff. I mean, you can get the tea already brewed. I like to, not already brewed, you can get the powder already made. I like to get the chunks just because I like it to be as organic and original state as possible, so I know what I'm getting, because I'm suspicious. So I like it to be as natural as possible when I get it, and I'd rather do the hard work myself. So I personally use a pestle and mortar, which is probably the hardest way to go about it. Oh dear. But hey, I think if you can get like a coffee grinder or something, you know, if you can break it down to small enough chunks and then grind it through some sort of coffee grinder, that would be a really good idea. But yeah, I do it the old school way, but it works for me. You don't have to do it this way, but this is just my method. And yeah, give it a go, try it, see what you think, and let me know. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. What I might do is I'm going to try experimenting with a few different varieties of chaga from different areas, and then maybe in the future I'll do a video just kind of reviewing the you know, the best chaga that I've come across. It's one of those things that, although I want to share it with people because I like to share information, I think on the other hand, it is something that is beneficial for us, and you know what it can get like. You know, we have a tendency to want to exploit things, and so I am concerned about it. It's not, you know, I'm concerned about it being over harvested. So I think for all of us, if we're going to go down these roads of using medicines that are ancient and that are valuable and that aren't, you know, they're a little bit rare or aren't that common, we have to do it within reason. So this means not buying up absolutely bulk loads of it, and do you know what I mean? It's about being reasonable and keeping things in balance because we want this to be sustainable. So yeah, okay, enough of my talking. Now on to how I go about preparing it, as well as a few facts and a bit more information. Okay, so this is me just grinding up the chaga. I've done the main part of breaking down the big chunks, and now I'm just grinding it down into a finer powder so that I can get as much of the nutrients out of it as possible. Like I said, you guys don't have to do it this way. I enjoy the process, but I know that this might be a bit backbreaking for some. Just to give you a few more bits and pieces about chaga, I'm getting this from selfhacked.com. Go in there if you want to find out more. So one, chaga mushroom reduces oxidative stress, which helps prevent Parkinson's disease, amongst other things. And secondly, chaga mushroom suppresses cancer progression. Now, there's been a lot of research done to this, and I suggest you do your own, but there's a lot of information out there about how chaga has benefited people who are undergoing chemotherapy and such. And thirdly, chaga mushroom helps protect the immune system. Now, as you've probably noticed, there's lots of bits of chaga flying everywhere. So what I do is I just empty a bit out so that I've got less to work with, and I just do it in little batches. So that's just a little tip. Okay, so I tend to use about 4 heaped teaspoons to 2 liters of water, maybe a little bit more water. And I mean, you can experiment with how much you like. But then what I do is I pop it into a big pot like this, and you let it simmer. You don't ever allow it to boil because you don't want to kill off all the healthy nutrients. So what you do is you let it simmer. Now, I don't know if you can see that there's an orange kind of line a couple of centimeters thick above where the water is. This shows you how far the water has kind of evaporated. So that means it's becoming more concentrated. So once I see that, and say maybe that takes about an hour, maybe more, then I know it's becoming more concentrated. I know the chaga is now coming out, and it's kind of expressing itself into the water. So that's what I tend to look for, and the liquid tends to get quite dark, and it gets this kind of yellowy kind of film around the edge as well. So that's what I look for. And then once I've done that, I let it cool down for a bit. And then I just take a little kind of teaspoon tea sieve, and there you can see, can you see the ring around the liquid? So that tells you that that's quite rich with chaga nutrients. So anyway, what I do then is I sieve the liquid into a container, and I should have really cleaned that, shouldn't I, before I did this? But anyway, it doesn't matter. I always use it for chaga, so I don't really care. So yeah, I just pour the liquid into a container, let that cool down, and then it's pretty much ready for drinking, and that's it. You can see that it's really dark and it looks really like coffee. And that's really how you want it. That's how you know that you've got some nice strong chaga there. And what you can do is you can keep reusing that chaga until it's really weak and it hasn't really got much to it anymore. Okay, so a few more fun facts. Chaga mushroom reduces inflammation. which is really good because if we're very acidic, then in order to balance out our internal pH and for us to function at our best, we should get more alkaline substances into our bodies and make ourselves more alkaline. 5, chaga mushroom can improve diabetic health. 6, chaga mushroom increases physical endurance. Now, I found this when I took this. I found that I was able to skate and run and do a lot, and I didn't feel worn out. Okay, so here I'm showing you the difference between chaga mushroom that's actually been put on the hob and been simmered, and that's on the right hand side, and this on the left is chaga mushroom that has just been steeped. So basically you just put hot water on some chaga and left it there. So you can see the difference. You don't get the same amount out of it. You can see how much darker the one on the right is, and it has that yellow ring like coffee does. And the next, I think in the next images, you'll see it kind of has this oily surface to it, and that's all of these oils, these beneficial oils that seep out of it. I don't know if you can see there on the surface, they're like these oils that are almost petrol-y coloured when you catch them in the right light. So that is how I prepare chaga mushroom tea. Give it a go and let me know how you get on. Take care, guys.